Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, this is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to a special episode of Time to Ball. This is episode 84. This is my Christmas special. And guess what Santa brought me? Santa brought me my man, Coach Lee Williams.
Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. What's going on, Kay?
Hey, can we continue the conversation we had the other night?
Absolutely.
No. No, I'm not trying to get put out. I'm not trying to get put off the air.
We might get banned for that one for sure. Yeah.
How you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Just really been watching a lot of high school basketball, kind of trying to evaluate some talent, and middle school basketball as well, and just really trying to balance that out as well, man, and just trying to get ready for club season.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of, you know, it is year round. If it's not year round, you tend to not be where you want to be.
Right.
So from Lubbock to I'm really all over West Texas, to New Mexico, and obviously El Paso as well. So that's what it's been.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so let me get into a few things. We're not gonna touch most of the stuff we talked about. You know, I don't need my mama to be like, boy, what would you talk about on there? But I do want to touch on this JUCO change.
Okay.
You know, it just came out of nowhere. Now, I haven't had a chance. I think you're the only person that I've actually talked to about it.
Right.
I haven't had a chance to go, you know, call some of the people that I know that are ADs and stuff, especially on the JUCO level.
Right.
Can you break this down for the people listening so they understand what's going on?
Got you.
This portion is sponsored by 915 Carpet Cleaning. They take care of all of your needs, whether it's residential or commercial, whether it's flooring or carpet. 915 Carpet Cleaning, they get the job done. Look up 915 Carpet Cleaning. The carpet cleaner you know before you need one.
I can touch on a bit. I'm not a savant as it pertains to, you know, the injunctions and the laws and things of that nature.
Right.
But this gentleman, last name is Pavia. He was originally, he's from Albuquerque. Was starting quarterback at New Mexico State.
Mm-hmm.
Transferred to Vanderbilt.
Right.
So, you know, his case is one. It's pretty much just him and no one else, from what I understand. But when you're dealing with injunctions, typically what happens is the NCAA doesn't want to be sued by the next 20,000 JUCO kids. So typically injunctions really turn into law.
Right.
And so that's kind of where it is right now. So he's getting an extra year for JUCO.
Okay.
So, you know, I've spoken to a few JUCO coaches, a dozen per se or more, and they're kind of preparing to, you know, to adapt
Right.
to this particular injunction, which will be law very soon.
Wow. So how does that work? So basically, JUCO, the 2 years that you play JUCO, won't count against 4-year schools?
Correct, because the NCAA and NJCAA is a different entity.
Right.
So his point was, hey, look, I'm losing a year or two in the NCAA, but it's not the same entity. So why am I being punished? I should have my
your
4-year eligibility.
Right.
So, and to most, to some it doesn't make sense, but it makes complete sense.
It does,
to me.
because they're separate entities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, has there ever been somebody to challenge the NCAA?
Not like this.
Nobody's ever thought about bringing that up, huh?
Not like this at all. And so, like, we are so conditioned to just say, well, this is how it is.
Right.
So this is how it should be.
Right.
And so, and you know, NCAA's made tons of financial gains on the
Right.
backs of athletes.
Right.
We don't want to touch on that, but I mean that's pretty much the bottom line.
Right.
And so JUCO coaches are excited about it because obviously they were being really tortured by the portal.
Right.
I spoke to I don't want to name the school obviously, but a school in the South, really solid program. They had 2 6'3" kids. They were expected to be top 10 team in the nation. 2 Division I schools called and just took them away because, again, you can sign JUCO, but you don't have to per se. What's the term to use? Get a release,
Right.
Because as you said right now, it's
Right.
a different entity.
Right.
So, with all that being said, it makes sense. So it was really hurting. It was actually portal was really hurting everyone all the way up, even mid majors as well. So yeah, that's something that people are. Some are excited about, some are not too excited. Just being honest, and basically what it is a farm system.
Right.
And
So, so like if you go play NAIA for per se, NAIA is not connected to the NCAA. Do you think you're gonna have somebody that turns around and says, well, if I play NAIA for 3 years and now a Division II or 3 or 1 sees me and wants to go, I should get all 4 years?
Well, I think what Pavia's point was, this is a 2-year institution.
Exactly.
So it's not a 4-year institution.
Right.
So in that case, it's a completely different entity.
Right.
And so therefore, it made sense for them to. I guess they felt like, hey, we're gonna try to fight this, but eventually we're gonna lose because and reading just a little bit that I read, he made a lot of sense. I mean, he had some great points.
I won't doubt that somebody is going to turn around and try to do the same thing
Absolutely.
with NAIA.
Absolutely.
But again, that's different because that's a 4-year institution as
Correct.
opposed to 2, and then you're counting against it. So
correct.
I think that's it's going like I would say the landscape has actually changed. With the portal, it's really made a lot of stuff difficult for high school for really top. I think the top echelon kids, the top 100,
top 50, top 100. Yeah.
Those don't get bothered by it. But
they're gonna go where they go.
It's that from 2 to 300 or from 2 to 500. If if you're the 499th ranked kid in the nation, you might be in trouble.
Absolutely. And this summer we had. I don't want to say an issue, but we had a situation where NCAA is now is I don't want to say handicapping. They're limiting the amount of actual roster spots that Division I's can have. So we had a young lady, a Power 5 school was interested in her, but they could not. They couldn't offer. They couldn't even offer her a walk-on spot initially. And then, in turn, she get an offer just because they're waiting on this number situation to kind of get settled.
So what's that situation like?
Basically, most teams could carry between 14 and 17 kids.
Right.
And so coaches were worried about it because they said, hey, we've had so many injuries. We've already had the TCUs of the world who had to cancel games 2 or 3 years ago because they didn't have numbers.
Right.
And so then they had to do a on-campus tryout,
Right.
and it was a huge mess. And so people were upset. A couple of schools were affected by that because obviously these paid games couldn't happen. And so typically, if I'm a mid to low major and I'm playing a high major, I really want to showcase well because that's on film and I can obviously transfer to higher up. So
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
So it's and I don't have the exact number, and I believe it semi kind of already went through, but I've just been really so busy with some other things. I hadn't had to really tap into kind of what was the final say so on that number.
So look, let me jump back because Lee's been on the show before. So if this is your first time you listening to it, Lee Williams is a I hate to use the term old friend of mine because I'm over in my 50s, so I guess that kind of applies, right?
That's what it is, man.
But Lee's an established. He was an established high school coach, varsity. He now runs the top AAU girls program in the city of El Paso. And when I say that, it's not throwing shade to other programs, but everybody who knows, elite programs in the city when it comes to girls. And what I mean by elite, I'm talking about, the type of players that has been produced by his organization that have played and where he's played with his girls. Everybody knows about what he's done. He also was Andrews alumni and a UTEP alumni. So we've known each other for what seems like forever since I've been here, and I've had him on the show before. But we were talking the other day, and boy, if there had been a microphone, or something, because we always laugh about how, like, Nick, you notice, like, you be talking about something, and then, like, within a day or so, something popping up on your phone about what you was talking about. So know they listen, boy.
Absolutely.
If they was recording us, boy, it'd be funny because we were cracking up.
Great conversation.
We were cracking up. Let me get in, because I know we're not going to be on too long, but let me get into something that I was thinking about.
Okay.
I get a lot of, from parents, I get a lot of, when they come in and they're, some parents their kids are playing and some parents are actually coaches, and they say stuff like, yeah, we played such and such team, and those kids on that team weren't fourth graders, they were sixth graders. Mm-hmm. Or, yeah, we were playing in a tournament and we played the team. It was a local tournament, and our kids are fifth grade playing up sixth grade, but we're playing this team, and we know that 4 or 5 of those kids on that team are seventh or even eighth grade, and they're playing down in these tournaments. Right. And I my question, because to me, if like our mentality coming up was, I want to play against older kids. Absolutely. Because I want to see where I'm at. Absolutely. And understand that. So as you grow up on the playgrounds and stuff, you get it. So on one hand, I'm trying to tell the parents to embrace it.
Absolutely.
Because, it's going to help your child. Amen. But on the other hand, I get the whole, what are you teaching the kids? It's you're not being fair, you're being deceptive. By knowingly playing kids down, and then those teams are dominating, but they're dominating against, they're 7th or 8th graders dominating against 4th and 5th graders, and then they, something like, it's crazy how I get all the information, even though I'm not out, and it's like, they were celebrating like they just won the NBA finals, and they're talking trash, and it's like, but everybody knows that those kids are not. So, what is your perspective on that?
From probably since the inception of our program in 2012, we vowed to always, either play on level or above level, depending on where we were. Right. And so I've always advised parents, I've always advised athletes, like it's and parents and coaches at times are going to make this about winning, but how are you winning? It's a great way to not get recruited. Right. And then, we've got, and I can only talk about my city, where I'm at. Here we've got these athletes putting out these amazing highlight tapes and things of that nature, but who is that against? Right. And I've had to warn parents to please do not put that out, because once it's out, it's out. Right. That's it. And you'll be evaluated by that particular film every year, regardless if you're six years older. Right. Whether you if this was in 5th grade and now you're in 8th grade, that film still stands. And
Right.
so, to me, it hurts. It hurts kids. It hurts their process. The most important thing, it hurts their growth.
Right.
Because people, we're in that microwave society. I want it now.
Right.
I want these Division I offers now. I want these. I want all this stuff now. I want to get in my bag now. And we've always advised our athletes as well as our parents, like, the growth comes through the struggle. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yes.
I mean, there's a very limited amount of athletes that's just gifted, and they can go and perform and so on and so forth. But you've heard a lot of stories. I was just listening to Avery Johnson. He was like a manager, and wasn't even planning on playing basketball. He was about to be. He was like manager / player. And in high school, one of the point guard got hurt, so coach put him in the lineup, and that was the end of the story. Like, he took every advantage of that situation.
Right.
And so parents don't want to see their kids struggle. Our advice, I advise all parents, please make sure there is no safety net from harm or things of that nature, of course.
Right.
But this basketball game, like, lessons have to be learned. You cannot skip steps.
Right.
And so what happens when you're an 8th grader playing against 6th graders, and then you go to high school? What happens then? We have a coach. Lives in Florida now. He's always tell us, man, there's no worse feeling than when your talent lets you down because you can't catch up. And so, I would rather. I'm kind of like you. We wanted to see where we were.
Right.
Even at UTEP, when we played open gym or whatever, like, we were trying to find, the best players to play against them.
Right.
I literally thought I was going to play professional basketball.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I did. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind until I played against a professional. And I never forget that. I tell this story all the time. So my players, like, listen, like, I literally, and then this gentleman by the name of Tim Hardaway walked in the gym, and of course everybody ran to their man, and I got on the court last. I was tying my shoe, and then all of a sudden I have to guard him. So I'm thinking, okay, so, like, I can vividly remember him, like, I am running as fast as my body could go, and he's literally jogging, not even sweating, and leaving me, and he has the ball.
Right.
His movements, his strength, it was just different. And don't get me wrong, just like yourself, like, we can play.
Right.
But this is when I learned there's levels to it.
Right.
I went to the library so fast. I found my advisor, making sure I was on point to graduate. I mean, it was, I was in the library 5, 6 hours that day, just studying. So, and for me, it's just about being the best version of yourself.
Exactly. So let me ask you this, because this is, when we talk about this, the question I always ask myself, is it on the parents or is it on the coach? Who's at fault? Because we can't dance around things sometimes. We got to start really being accountable.
Absolutely.
For me, I would say it's more on the parents, simply because a coach, he's coaching. They're going to get an opportunity to play. They're trying to play to win. They're going to, hey, we can do it. We'll do it. For me, if a parent says, no, my child's not playing against this grade. Now, if you're in a tournament, or let me make sure I make this clear. If you're in a tournament, or if you're in a league, and you're in a league the league is actually, you're playing in a 7th, 8th grade league. And a 4th grade team or 4th, 5th, 6th grade team decides to play up in that, you can't fault anybody because they're moving up.
Absolutely.
What I'm talking about
of age
is when you play, you're in a 7th grade team, or 7th grade, you're in a 6th grade league, but you're playing in a 6th grade league with 7 and 8 graders. To me, that's different. So for me, I would put it more on the parents, because you know what you're doing. And if you just tell you, no, we're not playing in that, what is the coach going to do? Right? That's how I feel about it. What say you?
Well, being that I'm a coach and an advisor, these parents are trusting me with their child, you have a huge responsibility.
Right.
Yes, parents have that initial responsibility for sure. But I think the onus is on both.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as a coach, I think you're held to a higher standard.
Yeah.
Just being honest. Like, example, we had, a local team here that was traveling, and they had 25 kids playing 16U. Mm-hmm. And I was just baffled. I was like confused. And all the time I get, 2025 kids say, "Hey, coach, I'd like to play for the team." I said, "Well, our 2025s are done because, this last summer was your last summer." And so I know on the boys' side, it's a bit different. Mm-hmm. But as far as the girls' side, like I just was honestly, I was disgusted by a 16U team. I'm sorry, a 16U team with the bulk of their kids being 25s. Right. And then you didn't even win the championship. You got third. Mm-hmm. So just what is that saying? But me, I obviously I didn't say anything. All I can worry about is mine. Right. But to your point, I think initially I would definitely put that onus on the parents. But as a coach, you got a responsibility.
Yeah. And the reason, and I guess let me expand on my answer. When I say it's the parents, is because there are a lot of great coaches out here on obviously pro level, college Absolutely. Level, high school level, middle school level, AAU level, as well as city league level that are doing some marvelous things. Mm-hmm. Commend you. But we got some that aren't commendable on pretty much all levels with how they do things. So when it comes to this, as far as kids, I do put it on both. It has to be both. But the way I'm looking at it is, well, it never has to go to the coach to make that call if that parent steps in at the beginning. So that's why, and I don't mean it in a mean way towards parents. It's just, not at all. We need to be accountable for everything because it's a life lesson. And once you start in the high school, the only time where you're not really, to me, is you're not really playing down is JV, because on JV you're going to be playing against sophomores, talented freshmen, or juniors, which is junior varsity, right? Absolutely. So that's, if somebody says, "Oh, well, they're playing against you," no, it's called JV. It's junior varsity, right? So sophomores and freshmen, they're playing actually up. They're playing in that division, knowing it, right? So that's kind of how it goes. High school, you don't have seniors playing down, and stuff like that. You don't have sophomores and juniors playing down freshmen, right? So up until that, and in middle school, you don't have, in most cases, you don't have 7th graders playing up on 8th grade. Although in some schools and some things, I heard it, that you might have a 6th grader playing up 7 and 8. But for the majority, you don't have that. But absolutely, in the city league, and then sometimes AAU, you get a lot of that.
Yeah, and I love our parents. I'll be honest, but I'll say this. Sometimes your appetite for a kid's success, or maybe watching your child's success, is going to really damage you in the end. And so, as a parent, you have to envision and literally write these things down, the steps you're going to take. Right. Okay. Son, daughter, you're going to struggle this year. This is why. But here are our goals. Right. And have those goals. Right. But people want to talk about coaches, but you got some parents, they want to win at all costs. Yeah. I mean, they want to win at all costs. It doesn't even faze them that their kid is an 8th grader playing against 6th graders. Right. It doesn't even register. All they see is, hey, we won. Right. My kid scored so many points. Right. And then that's why you have so much there's so much animosity
Yes.
as that kid gets older,
Right.
because his talent is not allowing him to do the things that he used to do,
Right.
because those kids were younger.
Right. Right. And I tell parents all the time, like, look, as you get up in level, the stuff that you did against fourth grade, they're not going to work as well against fifth graders, because the fifth graders are better defenders than what they were in fourth grader. And then when they become sixth, they're better, in seventh, and better in eighth. And once you get from that seventh to ninth, then you have that athleticism that comes in. And now kids are a little bit taller, stronger, and faster.
Absolutely.
So the things that you got away with, you have to always evolve your game. And I say, look, NBA players on the highest level are still continuing to evolve their game.
Absolutely.
If they're evolving their game, what makes you think you don't need to evolve yours on the
Absolutely.
third or fourth grade level?
Absolutely. And just one more point on that. It's like, man, and I know parents, it's hard to see your child not
Right.
succeed. It's difficult. But again, you have to look at, if you've envisioned it, you've talked about it, you've written it down, everything else is going to be fine.
Right.
If you just really, as they say, trust the process.
Right.
And so,
Right.
that's important.
So let me get into this last thing, and then I'm gonna let you go.
All right. I got as much time as you need.
I got a training coming up in about 20 minutes. So, and they sometimes get here early.
I got you.
I often talk about with high school, coaches.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a thing where you hear that some high school coaches, they're recruiting. They're not like, hey, come to our school, but they're kind of trying promoting and getting players to try to switch and come to the school, right? Mm-hmm. Me personally, I don't have a problem with that. Okay, that's just I don't have a problem with trying to recruit, because it's like, hey,
where are you from?
I'm from Dallas.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But the issue I do have is some of these coaches that promote to try to get kids to come to their school and play. Then if kids get there and they realize it's not what you told me, I'm not gonna have a chance to play. If I feel I'm good enough, I'm being buried on the bench.
Right.
I'm gonna go back to my other school, and then some of these coaches will in turn try to 365.
Right.
Now I know the district or UIL kind of takes more responsibility with doing that, I guess, from my understanding, where there's certain questions you're asked, and depending on how you answer it, that's usually
Absolutely.
How they check it off. And then I think lastly is when the coach comes in, when they sign off on it.
Yeah.
And
athletic purposes.
Right. And I've heard of kids kind of getting messed over in that sense, right? When they decide to leave. That I've always had a problem with it, because I'm like, look, if it didn't work, it didn't work. All right. You can go on over there. We're gonna bust your ass when we play you, right? You can tell whatever you want, but I get that. I've always had a problem with that. And what do you think about that?
The core of me is a high school coach.
Right.
Just know that. My sole job, whether the kid left or stayed, was to always make sure that kid was better than when they came.
Right. From
a social standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, obviously from an athletic standpoint, and skill.
Right.
I have, beyond it, just being totally transparent, I get several high school coaches ask me, hey, Lee, kind of what do you think? And so, I said, well, this is my philosophy, it may not be yours. I said, this kid leaves, me personally, I'm signing off on it, because I don't want any backlash.
Right.
Number one, I don't want any drama. I don't want you to ever say, you stopped me from so on, getting to where I needed to be.
Right.
I said, secondly, if the kid stays there, like this kid may be your top player. He left. That happened this year on the boys' side. Not gonna name the school, but anyway, I said, this kid, you're gonna play this kid twice, right? that this kid can hurt you twice. If this kid stays in your program, it's going to hurt you every day.
Yeah.
Every single day. So my thought process is, hey man, I'm signing off on it. Best of luck. Only reason why I wouldn't sign off on anything like that is if there was some fabrication of who I was as a man, as a person.
Right.
Then I'm just not going.
Yeah. I get, and I'm not saying, like in all situations, for me, you sell in my name or something, I might sign off on it, but you're going to have to make sure that you let everybody know that what you're saying about me, that shit ain't true.
Right.
I'm going to let you go, but
Right.
you need to set your record straight, because I know some people try to put stuff out there to kind of bolster why they're the reasons why they're trying to get out.
Right.
And ultimately, sometimes some kids think they're better than they are, but then they get there and then they realize they're not. Now, I've seen it. The craziest thing is that there are kids right now on the freshman level, JV level, varsity level that's at a particular school that's probably not getting much PT at all. Maybe those kids in front of them are stronger. Maybe the coach doesn't believe in something. There's, not saying the kid, they don't like them, but maybe there's something that the kid struggles with that they're not able to help that kid do. But then you look at other schools where you look at the talent and you're like, this is not a varsity level team.
Right.
And you think to yourself, if these 2 or 3 kids over here were playing at that school, that team would be a lot better, right? That's what I think about is I want it to be on the floor. I want the actual game to show you you're not ready. You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of how I've always envisioned it. And I know it's not a participation thing. It's like when you were playing open gym, you come in, it could be 60, 70 guys in there. You get your team, you're picking your own teams and you play. It's not decided by anybody else but those people that are playing.
Absolutely.
If you win, you stay on. If you lose, you got to go back and try to get back on the court.
Right.
There's no outside influences trying to, help everything along the way or hamper things along the way.
Right.
And that's kind of how I view things when it comes to that. What do you?
Well, for me, the core of this is development.
Right.
And so if I'm on a stack team, do I develop? I've always advised athletes and parents, like, if you're a rebounder on this team, right, and you've played with this team since 5th grade, you're going to be a rebounder every year. How do you expand your role? How do you expand your game?
Right.
Loyalty is loyalty, but it's also about the development.
Right.
And so I watch kids always want to go to a stack team. To me, it just says you're insecure about who you are. And then college coaches, I talk to them all the time, men and women side. I need a dog.
Yeah.
You cannot develop a dog mentality if you're on a stack team.
Right.
Example, Gilbert Arenas. He tried to put his son on one of the lower high school teams in California.
Right.
Now let's see who you are.
Right. Because you got to play against those.
Yes. Yeah. So what are you going to do? You get double teamed. The responsibility is on you. Right. Everybody talks about a leader, but you can't talk anybody into a leader. No. They've got to develop into a leader. And it's most people think it's just that talking piece. And so for me, I've always recommended that go where you go, because there's obviously local city league teams and club teams trying to go on one team.
Right.
I say just remember, there's only going to be one district MVP.
Right.
If you've got 5, there's going to be 2 people that's not going to get first team.
Right.
And if you don't win district, now you're talking about only 3 people left off.
Right.
So that's going to create animosity. Then you're going to start competing against your own teammates within the same game.
Right.
And so it becomes a lot of issues. But I'm just going to be. I'll go back to your point earlier. Parents. Yeah. That's where it starts. Yeah. We want to win. I had an athlete a few years back. Oh man, we won state, we won district. Did you win? Oh yeah, no. Did you win?
Mm-hmm.
What did you showcase? What were you allowed to showcase?
Mm-hmm.
You've been behind these kids since you were in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
How are you ever gonna make that jump?
Mm-hmm.
But you decided to come over here, and yeah, your team won, but you're not winning.
Right.
What can you put out as far as film that can showcase that? I'm 5'3", but I played the 2 guard on my team. Very few college coaches are going to pick up a 5'3" kid, or on the boys' side a 5'6" two guard. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
So that's something you have to look at as well. Do I want to win? Do I want to win a district championship, or do I want to be in the middle of the pack? But I have developed, and my skill set has gone beyond what I thought it would.
Right.
And
so, I always say, I don't want to join a dynasty. I want to start my own.
I love that.
That's always been
that's a great philosophy.
I don't want to, man. Look, you got a team full of A+ players. Okay, yeah, I'm going here. We might lose, but I need to see where I'm at against everybody.
No
and
question.
How I can get in. And I think if more parents and coaches and players had that mentality, like what Gilbert Arenas did, it would probably get, players in better positions and stuff. And I know sometimes it's hard because, you might be in a district that's
Correct.
your home district.
Correct.
So you don't have a choice with where you go. But is there stuff on the horizon?
I'm sorry?
Are there things on the horizon? Because I've always said, and I believe I said it on this podcast before, that I think that the next evolution, well, I thought the next evolution was to bring the the 45-second shot clock to high school. I know they're trying to, but that's gonna still take some time. I think you might start having transfer portals in high school. Whether I agree with it or not, I'm thinking that that's what's gonna start happening.
Here is this. I just talked to a head coach last night, actually, and he said what they're talking about is UIL is going to allow one, pretty much quote unquote, if you will, one free transfer.
That's cool.
You get one.
Yeah.
And so I know you have dealt with a lot of kids that have been unfairly mistreated.
Yeah.
There have been a lot of, it's been on the other side as well, where the parents are just like, there's a parent that, there's a kid that left a school, and I'm sitting at a game Friday night, and I'm talking to a coach, and he said, hey, coach, do you know this kid? I go, oh, absolutely, I know this kid. Oh, what do you think? Coach, be honest. And I paused because I don't ever want to talk negative about a kid. Well, coach, what happened? I said, well, I know this kid fairly well. I had a high school coach tell me that I would rather go 0-12 and not coach this player than coach this player and win district. And so, I was taken aback, and it was just like something wasn't fair. It was something every time.
Right.
Challenging his philosophy, challenging her. I mean, and then lo and behold, it transferred to college.
Right.
And so now there's litigation going on with this athlete and the entity that she went to. It's like it never stops.
Right.
Well,
I think I should do a paid podcast version, and on the paid podcast version, we gonna get some names and institutions and stuff.
I would never name drop, but it's just like it's just the thing that you said earlier is, and the more I'm thinking about it now, parents got to really be held accountable for those types of things. And I think if parents, as you said, if parents would be more accountable, I shouldn't say accountable, maybe do their research and hey, let's sit as a family. What is the end goal? What are we looking at here?
Right.
And so I think, that would lead to a lot more positive, healthy relationships and things of that nature as well.
Well, I look, and I had me and Ryan Strickland when I was up at the was it? It wasn't the pain. It was the big time live tournament in
Vegas. Okay.
last summer. And Rod Strickland and I had a very spirited conversation because he was like, well, you know, do you think they should be able to transfer? And I said, absolutely. I said, but my feeling is you should only be able to transfer once. Because you get there, and I know, I've been around people and I've talked, and I know, you probably do too, there are coaches that will recruit a kid that they know their rivals recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really need that kid.
Right.
But they'll recruit him
Absolutely.
to keep that kid from going there.
Roll out the red carpet.
I think that's wrong, right? I think it's wrong because you're not gonna have. You have no intentions. You're gonna make this kid sit 2-3 years when this kid could be playing. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with the development, but if you have that situation where you know this kid's gonna go there and this kid's gonna be able to play probably sooner, but you do it because you know you can hurt that program, right? Like I've heard that kind of discussion. So for me, I'm okay with you leaving once in the portal, but now you got to sit down, like what you say, and do your research and make a very informed decision to the next school. Because now, if you go to this school, there is no, oh, I get to leave. No, you got a 365 because you should have made a better choice the second time. Right. That's kind of what, and Rod wasn't trying to hear because he brought up the coaches, and I say it should be the same thing with the coaches, but I get it. That coaches don't, coaches have a lot more leeway when it comes to those things.
Right.
Going in and start stretching. I'm finishing up my podcast.
So my inner Keenan now is kicking in. Okay. my inner Keenan cage. It all starts with parents.
Yeah.
And the transport is what it is because let's just say this. That athlete circle.
Yeah.
Are you willing to allow this athlete to fail, to grow, to understand, and to get better?
Yeah.
Or as soon as something goes wrong, we're like, it's people that go to school and they're finding reasons to transfer.
Right.
Whether it's what a coach said or one player last year didn't want to go in the game because he didn't have the correct tights. So they had to get a manager to run back in there, and they said, "Hey, man, I won't name the shoe company, but they don't even sell those types of tights." So they had to explain. They had to pull this athlete aside, explain to him, "Hey, they don't make these." He was still upset, and then went back in the game. And so again, like you. There can't be a safety net. Teach your kid to fight, and that's just life lessons, And to last thing here for me, to your point, as far as parents saying, "Hey, my kid is this and this," we've every 3 or 4 years we have this, and we had it this year with a younger player. Parents came up, coach, she's just not getting the right playing time. She is a baller. She's a dog, And I'm looking around like, you talking about somebody else's daughter or yours? I mean, that was in my mind.
Right.
But again, I want to be professional. I want to hear them out because parents just really want their kids to be successful. So, well, coach, this is the position she plays, whatever, what have you. So the coaching staff got mad at me. I called timeout, made a sub, get the rock. We're running this here, steal, layup. So staff was like, "Coach Lee, come on, man. No. Parents have to see it.
Right.
They had to see it. I had two kids like that. Coach, she's not allowed to get in her bag. I hadn't seen the bag, so maybe I'm missing something. And I'm one of those type of coaches. If I'm wrong, I'm okay with it.
Right.
I am far from admitting. When I'm far from not admitting when I'm wrong, I'll admit it for sure.
Right.
So, this kid, it tore her apart. And then finally, after, 3 turnovers, 1 air ball, and a blow by, and I was upset. I'll be honest. And so we went to the bench. I had the other staff talk to him about the things that we're going to fix, and I just kind of looked at him. Gave him a look for couple seconds, and staff was like, Coach, we can't wait that long. I said, we have to, because 2 mistakes is not enough for a parent to see that she's not ready.
Right. Yeah, they got to see.
Yeah. And it's what you said. Let the court choose.
Because you got to get that, you got to see and get that uncomfortable feeling when you feeling everybody around you like, damn, dog, like, how many turnovers you gonna have, and you start to get uncomfortable as a parent.
Absolutely.
And that's when you see it. So
absolutely.
Look, we're gonna have to get back again.
Yes,
and
sir.
We might have to do some Club Shay Shay stuff where we start naming names and people. And, I'll be in a lot of trouble, but we're gonna do that. So look, I'm gonna wish everybody. I really appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate
as always. I'm gonna wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Absolutely.
If I don't hear y'all, everybody take care.
For sure.
I can give y'all my address to drop off my gifts, and I'm gonna end it like I always do. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, K, man.
I'm out.
Thanks for having me on.
All right.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.